Hi there, Sanjay Gangal from EDACafe. I'm here with AJ Incorvaia, Senior Vice President, Electronic Board Systems at Siemens. Hello, AJ.
Great to be with you, Sanjay. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us, AJ. I understand Siemens recently did a major release, creating a new platform, unifying Xpedition, HyperLynx, and PEDs. Tell us more about that.
So for us, this is more than just a new release. It really is a new platform that we are going to be building all of our PCB technology on moving forward. So that includes all of the Xpedition products, as well as the PADS Professional product line and the HyperLynx product line.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the individual products, and then we'll talk about the platform.
Sure. So we have for the PCB layout and as well as schematic capture, we have the Xpedition product line, and that's really our products that are aimed at both the mid-market and the enterprise market. And then we have PADS Professional, which is really aimed at kind of the lower end of that mainstream market. And then for analysis, whether it be signal integrity analysis, schematic analysis, or analog mixed signal analysis, and verification, we have the HyperLynx products. So
Okay.
it's quite an extensive set of products covering the entire spectrum from product inception all the way to physical implementation and through analysis and verification.
And how does this platform address the current challenges in electronic system design?
So if we look at kind of where we are with the current state of the market, there's several things that we have noticed. One is that we have a lot of turnover happening in the marketplace where more mature engineers are aging out and newer engineers are coming into the industry. And these newer engineers have less experience than the folks that they're replacing. And so our clients are really looking for tools that are more intuitive to use, also tools that less experienced engineers can take advantage of so that they can take full advantage of the power of the technology without having to be tool experts. Another thing that we also realize is that there is a lot of pressure on our clients to get products out the door as quickly as they can and get them right the first time. And so we have built a platform that allows them to streamline a lot of the processes that they have and also make sure that it is well integrated with all of the other aspects of the design flow. So for example, making sure that it's well integrated with mechanical tools, making sure that it's well integrated with PLM tools, so that as they move data from one part of the design flow to another, that data can be seamlessly migrated all the way into manufacturing. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that our platform supports resiliency around things like the supply chain. We all know about issues that we've had with the supply chain during the COVID era, but also too, as designs become more and more complex and engineers are sourcing more and more parts, they need to make sure that they have the right parts on the design and that those parts can get into manufacturing so that the design can get out the door when it needs to.
Okay, and this announcement highlights AI-assisted capabilities in this new release. Can you elaborate on the specific AI-driven features and how they improve workflows for engineers?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure was that not only did the platform have AI capabilities, but the AI capabilities are built into it so that engineers can take advantage of a lot of the AI machine learning technology that's available today without even necessarily knowing it's there. So let me give you one example that I think is going to be very, very obvious to our users. As users use the tools, the tool actually learns the style of design that engineer does. And it can then predict what commands the engineer will use next. So for example, if you're doing a complex routing of a printed circuit board, the system will help the engineer, guide the engineer through what set of commands they have to go through based on their style of design. And so there's this command prediction that's built around an AI engine built into the system. So you don't have to do anything special. It's not an add-on. You don't have to learn anything new. It's just there for you to use if you want to take advantage of it. Also, too, built into the system, there is support co-pilots so that if you have questions or if you're not sure how a particular operation is done, you can query a support co-pilot, which then in natural language, which then helps you guide you through the series of steps that you need to complete a particular task. So not only are we trying to add generative AI capabilities around things like copilots, but we're also building in what we call AI-infused technology into the platform so that the engineer can take advantage of this technology without really even knowing it's there.
Okay, and now cloud connectivity is a major focus of the new platform. How does this enable collaboration across the value chain?
So one of the things that is become very clear over the last few years is that collaboration is extremely important, particularly in the enterprise part of the market, and even in the upper mid market, where you might have multiple people, multiple engineers working on the design at the same time. And so we've built in capabilities in order to do things like be able to work on a design at the same time. So you can have multiple engineers working on the design at the same time. Now, this is capabilities that we've had for a long time, but we continue to improve those capabilities. In addition to that, we've also added a collaboration environment, which allows you to share design elements with people that are outside your direct team. So for example, let's say you have a project where you want to bring in a third-party signal integrity expert to do some validation on some of the nets in that design. You can invite that person into your collaboration space in a very, very secure manner. You can decide what pieces of the design or what parts of the design that person has access to, and you can share those parts of that design in a very, very seamless fashion. And so the idea is that you can do things like offline signal integrity verification, or you can also do things like view and markup. So you can go into the collaboration space, you can take a look at the design, you can add notes, you can share those notes with different members of the team, all in a very, very secure environment, all with the rules or role-based access so that each individual has the access that they are allowed to have and not anything more than that.
Okay, and now with the increasing complexity of electronic systems, how does the integration with Teamcenter and NX enhance collaboration between ECAD and MCAD teams?
So integration with, as I said earlier, integration with the other parts of the design flow is critical in a large project team. And what you need to make sure is if, for example, you're collaborating with mechanical engineers, is that you're speaking the same language as the mechanical engineers are speaking. So in other words, when you're describing a component, you have to make sure that that component, that they understand what that description is. And one of the problems that we've seen historically with PCB design systems is that while the electronic space and the mechanical space uses the same language, we really mean different things. And so then when you try to develop a multi-domain bill of materials, when you try to bring the bill of materials from the electronics environment and the mechanical environment together, you have serious issues because the connectors might not, the meaning of them might not be the same thing, or for example, you may not be describing things in the exact same way. And so one of the things that we've done is we've gone through working with some very, very advanced customers is to make sure that when you're passing data from the electrical system into the mechanical system and back, that the proper communications is happening. And when you try to create that multi-domain bill of materials, that it can support all of the design elements, including variants, which again is often very different. A variant in the electronic system might be very different than what it means to have a variant in the mechanical system. And so there's been a lot of work working with some of these key customers. There's been a lot of work that we've done together with both the NX team and both the Teamcenter team to make sure that all of this comes together.
Okay, and the modernized user experience is emphasized as a key benefit in the press release. Can you share insights into the design process for this interface and how it simplifies complex tasks for engineers?
Sure. So like I said, one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that the user experience was very, very intuitive. And so that even if you're a new user, you're able to take advantage of the full power of the system. Or if you're an occasional user, you can be able to very quickly find the commands you need, very quickly be able to do the operations that you need to do to complete a particular task. And so we've redesigned the user experience. The user interface itself is based on Microsoft Fluent. So if you're familiar with products like Microsoft Teams, where you have the particular layout of the way the screen is laid out, that will be very, very familiar to you. We also have a number of shortcuts that are built into the system. We have the command prediction that's built into the system. There's a very elaborate command search capabilities so that you could very quickly find what command you're looking for. And then there's embedded videos and tutorials built in so that you can then query the system and say, hey, how do I do X, Y, Z? And it'll show you a very quick, 30-second, 50-second video on how that operation is particularly done.
Okay, and looking ahead, what are your future plans for this platform?
So like I said, this is the platform that we will be building on over the next several years. We've embedded quite a bit of new technology. We have a lot of new features. Some of those features are around the infusion of AI. We will continue to add additional AI capabilities to that platform. We have a very, very rich roadmap for what we want to add. We also are very focused on security. One of the things that, again, our clients have come back to us and said is, we have to make sure that our data is secure and that there has to be a level of granularity to the type of access that we allow various engineers around the world to get to, even in a specific project. So we've been adding a number of security features. We will continue to be working on that. We will continue to be working on capacity and performance. Designs are continuing to get bigger and bigger. And so we have to make sure that we can keep up with the performance that's needed to manage these very, very large data sets. And then last but not least, we'll also be continuing to add capabilities that extends the platform from design inception all the way into manufacturing. So you'll be seeing us adding additional capabilities to build those digital threads to make sure that we can manage the data as it flows throughout the design flow.
Okay. And do you have some solutions for bill of materials or managing the bill of materials in the system as well?
So we have, one of the things that we've added over the last few years, as you know, we did an acquisition of a company called SupplyFrame. And SupplyFrame has supply chain data that they provide to engineers. So for example, an engineer can go query and they could find out what the latest availability, pricing, what the risk is associated with using that component. We've taken that data and we've embedded it into the design authoring tools so that engineers can have access to that data in real time. So when they're building their schematics, for example, and they're selecting components out of their library, they can instantly see what the supply chain information associated with that component is. And so that's a very, very powerful feature around making sure that the bill of materials is correct. We then also have a series of capabilities around looking at the bill of material to check for the health status of it. So for example, what is the risk associated with using certain parts based on their availability, based on their cost? Whatever factors you as a company decide are the right weighting factors for that particular component, we can then look at the entire bill of material. And then last but not least, with the technology that's supplied from SupplyFrame, they also have technology that sits in the procurement organization and the sourcing organizations to make sure that that information is all tied together.
Very cool. And what is the best way for our audience to find out more about this new platform on the internet?
So you can go to the Siemens website, and you can look at, you can either look at a per product, you can look at Xpedition, or you can look at HyperLynx, for example, or you can go there and you can see the entire platform. It's on the Siemens EDA website.
What is the name of the new platform?
We just call it the next generation design system, and we've added the nomenclature NG to the that's how we refer to it. But
Okay.
we didn't brand it differently. We still have the product names because that's what people are familiar with. So we just wanted to make sure that we kept the product names, but they know that it's the NG version of the products.
Okay. And AJ, is it okay if I ask you a few personal questions?
Sure, absolutely.
What do you do for fun outside work, or what is your personal passion, AJ?
Well, so it depends on what time of the year it is. If it's wintertime, we do a lot of skiing. So we spend a lot of time in the mountains, skiing and hiking and those kinds of things. In the summertime, we try to get out as often as we can, playing as much golf as I can. Although with the travel I've been doing the last few years, it's kind of hard to get in a full 18 holes often. And then the other thing is I'm a passionate woodworker. So I actually have a woodworking shop set up at home, a lot of high-tech equipment, and I build furniture.
No. Any particular piece of furniture or any particular piece of woodwork that you're very proud of? You want to
So
share?
I recently just finished a chest, to put bedding in. It's cedar lined and kind of sits at the end of our bed. I also my wife wanted a custom built cabinet for our dining room, and so it turned out to be almost 9.5 feet. And because we couldn't find one that big, so she said, "Well, if we can't find it, just build it." And so I went ahead and did that, and it came out pretty good. It's got a mahogany top on it, and it's got 4 cabinets, and then a set of 3 drawers.
Very cool. Very cool. Love to see that. And AJ, you don't have to answer this question, but since you mentioned golf, I always ask people, what is your golfing handicap?
Yeah, it's how how high it goes. I'm a little above that.
Okay.
I am what we call a weekend hacker. But it's fun. My wife and I get out there, and it's just something we do to just to get some exercise.
Okay. And can you also share something about yourself that most people at Siemens who work with you don't know about you?
Actually, they probably know quite a bit about me, so there's probably not too much they don't know. But I don't know how many people know I'm into woodworking.
Okay. Okay. And now final question, AJ. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
would
have
say
some?
dogs. Not that I don't like cats, but I'm definitely more of a dog person.
Okay. And do you have some dogs?
We don't have one anymore, but all 3 of my kids have dogs, so we have grand dogs.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, AJ, for taking time to record this
All right.
interview. Have a great day and stay safe.
All right. Thank you. Take care now.
This is Sanjay Gangal from EDACafe.
Electronic systems design.
We're seeing a lot of changes in the workforce in terms of electronic design engineers. A number of more experienced engineers are starting to age out, and new engineers are coming online. And so there's a shortage of experts or people that understand the existing methodology.
And as the engineering talent pool shrinks, electronics saturate our world, and market life cycles continue to shorten. Today's electronic systems design is a collaborative effort that spans across the globe. And unpredictability is the new normal, requiring organizations to constantly adapt to changing geopolitical conditions. And protecting your company's intellectual property is paramount. But how can you do this as more design activities are moved to the cloud? Siemens has developed a next-generation solution that enables engineering teams to concentrate on innovation and tackle more complex challenges.
One of the things I'm really excited about with our next generation platform is the focus we've had on an intuitive user experience. We've done a lot of research about how the users are now looking for an agile and adaptive solution that really helps them be more productive through the design flow.
I'm surprised at how quickly I was able to pick it up. I'm an experienced user, so I know the existing tools really well. But when I started using the new tool, it surprised me that I could come up to speed so quickly on it. Really, after just a few hours, I was pretty comfortable using it.
AI allows us to help a designer today improve either their decision-making process or their design process, and even optimize the design that they're working on so that they can come up with a better design.
With our software, we can now connect designers, component suppliers, semiconductor OEMs, and manufacturing service providers.
One of the best examples we have of this is around supply chain and the ability with our cloud solutions to bring supply chain data from a broad ecosystem of providers right down onto the engineering desktop so that design engineers have the ability to make the best decisions earlier in the design process as possible with relation to things like component cost, component availability, and increasing the overall supply chain resilience of their design as early as possible in the design process.
We put data integrity and security at the forefront.
Oftentimes, there's a need to share data with outside partners, and oftentimes it's very, very difficult to do that in a managed way. So it's important to have a set of tools and methodologies that allows you to share that data in not just a managed way, but also in a very secure way.
Are you ready for this evolution? Explore the next generation of electronic systems design.